Hi everyone, my name is Love, and for this video I have decided to share more of the tips that had helped me during the time when I was preparing for my English language proficiency exams, which is the CELBAN. So I have thought of making this video again in addition to the previous videos to share some informations or some helpful tips that can help you too on how to prepare for your CELBAN exam, because I have been receiving a lot of emails, message requests, and sometimes I am unable to respond promptly because sometimes I am unable to see the message requests, and there's still a lot of people who are reaching out to me to ask for reviewers and for some tips. So I've thought of just making a general video like this just to share what had helped me in the past. And yeah, so that is the purpose of this video. So my recent CELBAN exam was back in December. That was like my second experience on taking the CELBAN exam because my previous one got expired. That's what they require for you if you're a nurse like me. And also, I've thought of making this video because recently a lot of provinces have been doing a lot of changes in the processing, and they're doing a lot of initiative so that they can recruit more internationally educated nurses to process in their province. And I've thought of sharing this information and tips again so that for those who are still in the Philippines that are planning to move here and apply to those program of different provinces, this might be at least a little help for you guys so that you can pass your English proficiency exam. And I know for sure that there isn't a lot of resources for CELBAN as compared to IELTS. IELTS, there's a lot of resources, but in my personal opinion, I would go to take the CELBAN exam instead of IELTS because I feel like it's more catered to my experience as a nurse, and the question is not as broad as with the IELTS academic. So for those who are asking for reviewer for CELBAN, I only have the reviewer from their website, and aside from that, that's all. The reviewer that they have on their website is sufficient enough for you to study for the exam, just to have an idea how this CELBAN exam works. Another question is, how do they do this CELBAN exam? To be honest, I'm not updated right now because as I said, I took mine last December of 2022. I haven't talked to anyone yet who took the test recently, and then some of the informations are confidential. So like for my experience, I took it through online. So first thing is that the resources that I use to practice for CELBAN exam is the one from their website, and then I also try their trial exam so that you have an idea how the exam will look like during your actual exam. And then for the other resources, I just use the IELTS material. Like for example, for the writing, I look for questions, IELTS questions that are in health related questions, and then I try to answer those. The tips that they gave, like for example in writing, how they create the introduction, the body, and the summary, those are the tips that I still use during my CELBAN exam. Because like in CELBAN, it's just like the same with the IELTS, but the topic is more related to the healthcare. For example, you're just going to rephrase the question in the first paragraph of your introduction. If it's agree or disagree, you have to stand on one position, like if you're agreeing or disagreeing. And then like for the body, of the essay, you're just going to expand your position, and then for the summary, it's just like the introduction. You're summarizing everything. So that's what I did during my writing exam in CELBAN. For the reading section, the resources for the reading section, I also use IELTS exam, IELTS reviewer. So I just practice answering IELTS questions because unfortunately there's not a lot of CELBAN reviewers. I still use the examples that they have in their website. And then for the reading part, I just read a lot of articles, health-related articles. Like I search it on Google, and then I try to read articles, Medscape, those websites, just to practice me how to read fast and how to understand an article. It's just me practicing every day how to read faster, how to digest what I have been reading. And I mostly, like for few weeks before the exam, I try to read at least one article per day, which is health related. For the listening, also the same. I tried answering IELTS questions. I just search online and through YouTube, and then I try to answer, so that to practice my listening skills and how to listen and then write and then look for the answer. And it's just like really trying to practice. And then for the speaking, I would suggest that you find a study partner. And then like for me, since my work right now is taking health history with patients, since I am working in an eye clinic, so it was really my practice. I really did not practice more on the speaking because I've been doing it for the past 4 years, so I am confident that I am able to answer questions. I feel like the speaking section is how you respond fluently and be able to respond right away when the preceptor asks you questions. Because like in the speaking, it's like a healthcare setting too, like you being a nurse talking to a patient, or you being a nurse talking to your colleague or your supervisor. What is more easy about the CELBAN exam as compared to IELTS? The questions that they are gonna ask you during the speaking is health related, and then like for us nurses, we've been dealing with a lot of patients, a lot of relatives, and we are able to answer them like maybe in our language, but just translate it into English, and then you know how to respond therapeutically with the patient, with your colleague, with the relatives. And yeah, so that is for the speaking section. And for this kind of exam, I really think that it is best for you to practice every single day before your English exam, because for example, like what I've said, reading every day at least 10 pages or at least for an hour, or communicating with people who are native speakers, and listening, watching a lot of YouTube videos that are in English. And then I also watch OSCE exams, and there are a lot of resources online, to be honest, but you might be just thinking about the CELBAN itself. What I realized is that learning English is a very long process. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like for example, you're overthinking about your grammar, you're overthinking about your accent. It really doesn't matter as long as you can pronounce words properly and they can properly understand what you are saying, and you are not mumbling, or the way you pronounce a word or a sentence really doesn't make sense, or really is not pronounced properly. So try not to over focus on the accent, because I don't have English accent. I still have my native accent, and I still speak hard, or don't really sound like an English speaker, which is okay, because the assessors know that English is your second language, and the accent, no matter what you do, is still there. But I will practice more. Like, for example, I encountered this word and I mispronounce it, and I will practice on that. And sometimes I ask my colleague who are English speakers to teach me how to properly pronounce it, so that it can sound appropriate in a sentence, right? Just use whatever resources you have online, and even if you don't find specifically for CELBAN, as long as the idea of you knowing how to use proper English, and the idea of you learning or understanding English well is what important. Because whatever the questions that they put out in your CELBAN exam, you know that you can answer it, because it's really health related. And for us nurses, we know everything about, not everything, but we know a bit more about the healthcare setting and how to answer questions related to health, right? It's just a matter of how you understand and how you use language, and how you use properly the grammar on the exam. So I would suggest that you really practice every single day before your exam, and write a lot of essay. For me, I also write journal, so that I can practice my writing skills, and reading a lot of articles, newspaper. There are a lot of resources online, so don't just focus on the CELBAN materials, because there's nothing really a lot of CELBAN reviewers out there. So that's all that I can give as a tip. I am happy, and I know that most of you are happy, that that a lot of provinces right now are trying to help us to process our license here as easy as they can, and without risking the safety of the public, right? And English is important, especially if you are going to work as a nurse or as a healthcare professional here in Canada, because communication is one of the most important part of your job. You have to know how to communicate with English native speakers, and you have to understand them, and you have to have them understand you too, right? And everything that you're going to do at work will be communicated in English. So make your best effort to really learn English. So that is all for the things that I wanted to share, and I hope that this tips will help you on your exams. And I wish I could reply. I wish I could help everyone who asked me about how to study for the exam. This is the only way that I can at least help to those who are like me, who are taking these exams that we needed to complete, right? So yeah, so that is all for this video, and thank you for watching and subscribing to my channel, and I really appreciate it, and see you guys next time. Bye, good luck.